Welcome, welcome, welcome. Hi, guys. Thank you for joining us for Pro Value Media's Market Like a Pro series. My name is Rick Cruz Jr., your digital and print marketing partner, and I will be your moderator for today. Today's special episode is about real estate in the COVID-19 era with our special guest, Sonia Liz Rocha from Keller Williams. So let's get started and let's jump right in. Miss Liz?
Hi, Rick. Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate the opportunity, and thank you for doing this for the people in business. It's very appreciated.
No, thank you. And again, we're just doing our part to reach out. I know there's lots of different industries that are being affected in all sectors, right? And that's kind of what this show is about. To try and talk about every one of those industries and how it's being affected, and not only that, but also how you guys are doing business and to get know more about that industry. Of course, we always love talking about marketing and branding, but right now your specialty we're going to talk about is basically what everyone's talking about, which is COVID-19, correct?
Yeah, so what I wanted to do is just give you the latest updates that revolve around the real estate business and regarding COVID-19, because there has been a couple of changes and improvements, because as this comes along, we as a business also need to change. And so that's what this presentation is about.
Number one, we're talking about all the COVID-19 legal documents you're going to be needing. Number two, we'll also be talking about all the renters assistance programs that are out there for landlords, things about having to do with evictions and things like that are going to be held on a certain date. Now, we also have things for realtors, so how they can apply for the COVID-19 economic injury disaster loans. And last but not least, how the real estate is still very, very essential with us.
Yeah, so we are open for business as an essential part of the industry. We are currently still working and, of course, taking our precautionary measures to be able to conduct transactions and home tours safely for us as realtors and also for the clients who are still shopping around for houses or selling.
Excellent, excellent. So you mentioned we have some legal documents, and I know that's kind of super important right now because that's basically where you're going to get started, right? I mean, depending on what your situation is, you're going to have documents you need to fill out, and that's kind of one of the things I guess we wanted to talk about first, right?
Correct. So, Rick, in real estate, everything needs to be documented, and there is a legal document for everything. So, regarding the closures, I know that somewhere in Texas, several cities in Texas have completely shut down, and they are not allowing mortgage companies to open up or, real estate companies to operate. However, here locally in Laredo, we are still open for business. We are an essential part of the industry, and that is why we just wanted to put this out there that if in case there is a closure that takes place, whether it's through the title company, the mortgage company, and we are unable to meet a certain deadline, then there is an extension form due to the COVID-19. And that applies for both residential and commercial. So if you are currently in the process of purchasing, but for one reason or another are unable to fulfill your deadline, we do have an extension through these documents.
Perfect. And if you don't mind me asking, so that extension, I know that when you're buying a home, there's a lot of work that goes into it, right? And a lot has to do with your credit history and things like that. I know I've heard from different people and experienced it myself that you don't want to be making any purchases when you're going to be buying a house. So how does this play? Does this kind of the 30-day extension, does that kind of like freeze your credit at the time, or how does that 30-day extension work? Like how would it benefit me apart from filling out the paperwork?
Yes. So let's just say that this extension is solely for closures. If in case there is a closure, or if in case now let's just say in the case that somebody loses their job due to the COVID-19, then that affects what is a mortgage approval. And from there, that is where, there are options, and your lender would let you know of the options. Usually getting another job, or if in case, it's just been temporarily, your employment has been temporarily on pause, then you still have options and you might still be able to purchase. But at this moment, these documents are just for if in case that there are closures, such as our essential businesses like the title company, the mortgage company, things like that.
Got it. Got it. That's okay. That's good. So you also have another one about for commercial, right? And this one's a little, it's pretty much the same thing, but that's pretty much saying, like you mentioned, that you cannot, to call the close any transactions. You know, basically it's the same thing for residential. Sorry, for commercial, right?
That
You
is
basically
correct.
in a 30-day. Great. Great.
Yes.
Great.
Now, the last one is the COVID payment plan, lease payment plan agreement. So this is an agreement between tenants and tenants and landlords, that if the tenants have lost their job and they are in need of a payment plan, this legal document would be able to take place once there is an agreement reached. And it's for protection to the tenant as well as the landlord. So I don't know if you're aware, but the Texas Supreme Court announced that they're stopping evictions until May the 1st of 2020. However, because they are unaware of how long this COVID-19 is going to, affect the community, they might be extending it. And so I will be putting out the latest information in my Facebook page. That way, everybody is aware if in case it is extended. But for now, evictions have been halted until May 1st of 2020.
And that's a good thing. I mean, like you mentioned, it's protection for everybody, but more than anything, I think it's peace of mind for the tenant. That they it's going to be hard to be kicked out because you lost your job, but you have to stay home and you can't work or anything. But at the same time, you can't live where you're at. So that is at least some peace of mind that people have. So that's a good thing. And like you mentioned, that there may be some extension. And I don't know, from the looks of it, I think a lot of things are going to get extended. I mean, obviously it's not up to us, but I do see a lot of things that are being extended. So I kind of see that happening as well, because obviously this COVID-19 has a lot of ripple effects throughout the whole economy. It's not just, real estate. I mean, but obviously it's every industry that's being affected. So yeah, again, this last payment plan, again, it's peace of mind for that tenant. So that's good. That's very important. Especially for those retail shops and restaurants that are operating at 40, 30%. Well, retail's at 0%, but at least restaurants can be operating a little bit, but to get something out for their employees and possibly for the rent, I hope. So yeah, that's actually this is a really good information here. And this is something that they have to fill out, correct? And with your landlord?
Yes. So both signatures need to be on the document, and there is pretty much a repayment plan of those missed rents. There is some programs here in Laredo that might have funding or will be receiving funding soon to be able to get renters assistance. And so I would always recommend first calling before going, because you want to make sure that, one, they have funding, and two, if they do, what is the process? I would like to announce which are the companies according to the 211 that I called. They gave me Bethany House of Laredo, Salvation Army of Laredo, and Catholic Social Services.
Of course,
There is the Laredo Housing Authority as well, and the Webb County Social Services, where you can also call. And there's also disaster loans that you might be able to qualify through the SBA, Small Business Administration. And you can also call their FEMA number. You would need to have a registration number. So calling and applying for it is important if you are in need, of course.
Excellent, excellent. So, in applying for the COVID-19 injury disaster loan, this is obviously, realtors are always obviously a business as well, right? So it's super,
Rick.
They're self-employed, but it's still, they can also apply for that. And that's something that I did not know. And that's great. I mean, because there are a lot of realtors out there, you know, like you mentioned, there, a lot of them are independent contractors and they're out there for themselves, and all of a sudden, you know, well, you can't go visit homes anymore. I mean, some can. I see people doing it and taking precautions, but I guess it's what I'm trying to say is it's a little harder to do it now with the current climate. Is that correct?
Yes, so like I mentioned, we are still open for business. We are still operating. However, there are, you know, people that want to put this on pause for now, and they're so what is happening is that realtors are able to apply for this economic injury disaster loan through the SBA. As independent contractors, you are in business for yourself, and therefore you're able to apply and get these benefits. I am not aware of any minimum income. However, they have their own guidelines. You can go onto their website and see if you qualify. Worst thing that happens is that they say no, but I always encourage all the realtors to apply if in case it is something that you are needing. The landlord resource is also available through the SBA funding programs, through the disaster assistance. So that is a resource for landlords who are losing rents due to this disaster, right? And they're able to apply and recover those lost rents, and maybe even allow the tenants to
stay a little longer. I would think that's
yes. So they can stay a little longer. They are able to maybe forgive their rents if they've already recovered those lost rents through the SBA funding.
I see. And that's actually a good thing. I mean, that way everyone's protected. It's not just it's not one-sided. You know, you still have the landlords that can also apply for that to like you said, that, you know, that loss of income, you know, my tenants can't pay me right now, but at the same time, I can also apply for this in the meantime, while they get, because again, tenants also have bills as well, right?
That's right.
So yeah, it's like we're all connected. So that's really good that it covers everybody here. That's awesome. So Miss Liz, one thing that I know when I was looking to sell my home, I remember one of the things that I had a problem with. I knew nothing about it, but I wanted to sell my home, and the thing that I had was like, well, why do I have to get a realtor? You know, why is it important to have a realtor? And I started doing it myself, and I found out that, you know, it's a lot harder than it looked, and then it took up a lot more time. And I realized, okay, I do need a realtor. You know, there's a lot of little things that I don't know to get this thing done. So at the end of the day, yes, we ended up getting a realtor to get done. But if you wouldn't mind expanding what the job or the role of a realtor is, for the people that don't know out there that are thinking, do I need a realtor? Like, you know, it happens to everyone. For the people that don't know, the question is, do I need a realtor? Why can't I do it myself?
Right. So thank you for asking this question, Rick, because it is very important for the community to know what a realtor role is. And also, I want to make sure that everybody understands the importance of a realtor. When selling your home, you want to make sure you have a professional guiding you through. And the reason for this is because you don't want to make any mistakes throughout the process that can cost you money, or that can cost you I guess you don't want to be put in a position to where you might be sued by the buyer. And that is why there is a lot of legal documents that come into effect when purchasing a home. And so it's the protection for the seller, and it's also a protection for the buyer. There is a process. When you are selling a house, you want to make sure that you're not hiding anything. And according to the seller, everything needs to be put in paper of what repairs are needed. You don't want to sell your house without letting the potential buyer know that there is a leak coming through the roof.
Wow, yeah.
Yes, and so because then you are put in a position of where they might sue you.
You don't
also,
want that.
Definitely
Wow.
not. Definitely not.
You don't want that sale to come back and bite you in the in the behind later on when
That is
a couple
correct.
months down the road, because it will happen. You know, people will. I know it happens with cars all the time when they say, "Hey, this happened." So I would think with a house, it's even more serious and more complicated. What that would happen if, like you mentioned, if the foundation cracked or there was a leak in the roof, and you didn't notify your buyer about it. So yeah, you'd definitely be in deep trouble there, I guess. Yeah.
Definitely. And so what you want to do is you want to trust your realtor, and you want to also know that they are working in your best interest. And so that is why you become a partnership, you become a team. When you're selling your home, you're in constant communication. You want to make sure that the home is always ready to show if in case there is a potential buyer that wants to see it. And yes, go ahead.
No, I was gonna say I'm glad you mentioned that, because one of the things that I know that again I found out the hard way, and in a good way though, is that you're not just hiring a realtor, you also have a team of people behind you that are helping with all these things. I mean, you have experts in different fields to help that. Would you care to elaborate a little bit on that?
Yes. So as a realtor, I pretty much let the client know that they have options. And the options that they have is, for example, can we go? Okay. So here is creating a team for the home buyer. The home buyer is able to assist the client into getting into how to get a mortgage loan. What mortgage companies are out there that would be able to cater to this certain client. Every client is different. There are several loans. Some of them are for veterans, others are for first-time home buyers. And so because there are different loans, you need to assess, where they are at that moment. Are they credit ready, or do they need a credit repair specialist? And that is when you give the client a list of options, and they can interview them, or you can go together and visit some of these lenders so that to see what it is that they offer. So that it's not just the lender that is in the team. Of course, the if the title company, even though it's the last one that you see, but you also are interacting with the title company throughout the process, because they might need one or two documents from you as well to finalizing the transaction.
Yes, yes, and I've seen this happen with a lot of people, myself included, where it's not as not when you're buying a home, it's not like you're gonna go buy some milk. It is a lengthy process. It can be fast, but that's what you guys are here for, right? I mean, to make it a very smooth process. Like you mentioned, there are different people involved that some people may need to get involved. Like you mentioned, like I was looking on the screen here, you have a credit repair specialist, especially if you're going to be buying a home, and that's obviously super important. I personally, I know we know one, a good one that
Yeah.
that helps out a lot of people with that, and it's super important to hire that person if you're looking to buy a home. And so it's not just yourself, is what you're saying. It's a team of people that you're hiring and to help you, guide you through this process. So that's really neat, and that's something that I don't think at least first-time home buyers may not know about it. I know people that have already gone through the process have already, gone through this, but the first-time home buyers, I think is super important that, again, you're hiring a team of people to help you through this process. That's awesome.
Yes, that is correct. So there is a team of professionals helping you, guiding you every step of the way, so that we can fulfill your need, which is, in this case, to purchase your home, to make that dream come true for you and your family. And so it's not just the realtor. Of course, for me, what I do is I make sure that everything is rolling the way it should. If there are documents that are needed from the client, and for one reason or another, the client is unable to deliver those documents to the lender, I facilitate that. I make sure that the client has several apps on their phone, so that if in case they're unable to leave their house, they can just scan that document over to me, and we don't stop the process.
Oh wow, yeah, that's important. Everything can be held up by one little signature missing, I guess. Yeah,
That's correct. It's
that plays
very
a role.
important.
So aside from the home buyers, you also have a team of people that help you for the home seller, correct?
Yes. So as a realtor, you can be a listing agent and a buying agent. And so what that means is whenever you're driving around a neighborhood and you see a for sale sign,
Mm-hmm.
that is a listing agent. That is a person who has the seller and is able to negotiate on behalf of the seller. And you don't want to just stop at this house that you liked and knock on the door, because there is a process into showing your house. Sometimes they don't want any interruptions throughout the week. And so that is why it is very important to call either your realtor or to call that number in that sign. But you do not want to stop at a home without knowing if the seller is okay in having visitors or anything like that.
Right.
There are certain instructions.
Right. You have to respect everyone's privacy. You don't know what that process is, and that's what the realtor is for, right? To explain that process, as opposed to just like knocking on the door and it's like, hey, it's not the best time at the moment.
That is
so,
correct.
So that's
Yeah.
that's something I hadn't thought about, but yeah, it can happen.
And so as a buying agent, I'm able to show any house on the market. If in case you see a house that is for sale by another agent, then you give me a call as your realtor. I would tell you, okay, let's schedule it. When are you available and when are they able to show it? And so we come to an agreement of a date and time, and that's when the tour takes place. At this moment, we are still touring homes, mostly houses that are vacant, but there are certain sellers that are in need to sell quickly. And so that is when they step out of the home for us to go in there and show their house. I have already a routine down to where right now my clients, they take gloves and they need to wear their mask and they cannot touch anything. I turn on all the lights and open all the doors. That way they just tour the home and in and out. They don't touch anything inside the house when it's vacant and when it's occupied, especially when it's occupied.
I see. Yeah, that's I hadn't thought about that, but yeah, it's important. I mean, what do you do? I mean, you can definitely look, like you said, look, but don't touch anything.
That's right.
That's good. That's
And
awesome.
sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
As a listing agent, here is a team that we get together to be able to facilitate the home selling process. And so there's the buyer always has the right to an inspection. However, as a seller, I always recommend that you get your own inspection. That way you know what needs to be repaired.
Yeah, get it out of the way before someone else brings it up. Yeah.
That's right. Because then you, as a seller, you have costs that maybe you weren't counting on. But if you were to be prepared with a inspection report, then you would know exactly what you need to do.
Oh, so that's good advice. So you're looking to sell your house, definitely that should be one of the first things that you do. Get an inspection and get it appraised so that you can see that all the flaws that come up, so they don't come up later and you're not shocked by surprises.
Correct. And so when you mentioned that, you wanted to know how come I need to have a realtor? Well, a comparable market analysis, that is something that I provide for free as a realtor. And it pretty much determines the suggestive listing price. So let's just say, Rick, that you wanted to sell your house for $200,000. But according to the comparable marketing analysis, I determined that your home is actually worth $240,000. Wouldn't it be something that you would want to know?
Absolutely. That's a big difference.
Exactly.
That's a big difference in money.
Yes. And so that is why it is important to have a realtor, because you don't want to undersell either. And you want to make sure that maybe your listing price is realistic. Let's just say you think, well, my house is worth $300,000, but according to this marketing analysis, it's showing me that it's worth $250,000. It would be something that you want to know, because maybe that is why you're not getting a lot of people to see your house, and maybe that is why it's in the market for a good while.
That's good advice. You're right. I mean, you might be just way overpriced with the whatever compares to the market. So yeah, that would explain the no phone calls.
And of course, the appraiser is always the one to finalize the actual sales price or the sales approval price. So let's just say that the appraiser goes into your house to evaluate it because you have a potential buyer and they've already submitted a contract. So let's just say that the report comes in at a lower than purchase price. So you were selling at 250. However, the appraiser is telling you, you know what, this house is worth 245,000, but you're unable to sell at 250 unless it's a cash purchase. Well, the appraiser report is going to determine, and that is where the seller would need to know, we would need to lower the price. When it comes over, then that's not a problem. There's no price adjustment needed there. But this is a team that we get together to be able to just facilitate this for the seller. And it is very essential. Without a realtor, maybe a lot of people do not know of all of these aspects of the purchase of the transaction. However, you want to make sure you're guided correctly.
Also, another thing that I noticed that you guys are really good at is obviously negotiating. I mean, that's something that I know I was talking to you earlier this week, and you mentioned to me that, hey, if you see a house out there, let me know. I can probably get that price maybe a little lower for you. And I was like, really? That's something you guys can do? Like, I just figured that's the price and that's it. But obviously, you guys also help out in negotiating, which is crucial, I guess, and for both people, you know, the buying agent and the buyer and the seller, correct?
That is correct. So it is very important, and the negotiating aspect is pretty much what makes or breaks the deal, because you want to make sure that, one, the buyer is comfortable with paying that amount, and two, or that they are approved, right, for that amount, and two, that the seller is willing to help. There's several costs that go into the purchase of a home. One of it is their down payment, and the other one is the closing costs. And so closing costs are negotiable, price is negotiable, and even repairs if you are getting a used home, if you're purchasing a used home. And so that is why you want to make sure that, you know, you have a realtor to guide you and to help you negotiate, so that it can be a win-win for both the seller and the buyer. It cannot be one-sided, because if it is one-sided, then the deal will probably fall through.
Right. And I'm glad you mentioned that, because it's kind of like, you know, you want to buy a home and something's wrong with the kitchen, and, you know, it's missing a little bit of paint and things like that, or maybe some cracks in the tile or things like that. And that will obviously bring the price down because of those little flaws that are there. Like you mentioned, someone's already been living in it, so that it's you know, it's going to have some wear and tear, right? So if you don't make those repairs, I mean, obviously the price is going to be affected. So in this case, you're there to tell them, hey, you know, fix these things, right? Or else it's going to go a little lower. And if they fix it, then the price goes higher or maintains. That's pretty much what you're saying, right?
Yes. So let's just say that you are in the market and you fall in love with a house, but you see that it needs a paint job and you want to replace the tile. So then what you want to do is get somebody in there to give you an estimate. From that estimate, you will determine how much it is that it's going to cost you, and maybe potentially bringing the sales price, deducting it from there, and making an offer then. It has to be fair as well, right?
Of course. Yeah.
Because what happens is that you want to just make sure that your house is going to be ready to move in at the time that you do move in, but the sellers are not going to be, you know, maybe doing all the work for you. And why would you want for them to maybe repaint at a color that you don't like? So that is where, you know, you need a repairman. And as a realtor, I have a list of people to help you, whether it's tile, whether it's paint, whether it's a roof issue or plumbing issue. I have all these resources available to the client so that they're able to provide estimates.
And that definitely helps, because like you said, it's like if I have to repaint my house, like I don't have time to be looking for a painter and figuring out what's going on. But, you know, but you as my agent, you can help me with that. I'm assuming you have a list of, like you said, you have a list of people that can say, well, give me the best one, right? Give me the
Yes,
best one that can do the job today or tomorrow, and let's get started. And that's awesome, because again, it saves the buyer and the seller time on having to look for those things if you don't know who they are. I mean, I know there's people that are very resourceful out there, but it definitely helps to have a starting point.
that's correct. Definitely. And that is why I again say that it's very important to have the proper guidance, and a realtor is always very essential in any real estate transaction.
That's excellent. That's excellent. So the real question, I guess, not the question, but I'm definitely curious, you know, how realtors get paid. And this is pretty much where you're going to let me know, how is it you guys get paid? I mean, obviously you don't keep the sales from the whole house or anything like that. People think that it's, you know, you're taking this whole a bunch of money, but it's not that at all. And you want to elaborate on that a little bit?
Yes. So we don't charge the listing. I mean, I'm sorry. We don't charge the seller upfront. There might be, you know, realtors that ask for some money for marketing or some funds for that. However, as a listing agent and as a buying agent, most of the time you get paid after the deal closes. So we list a house this month, and let's just say it gets contracted next month in May. And so once that house gets contracted, if it is a cash buy, then it can be done in as little as 3 to 5 business days. If it is financed, it takes 3 to 5 weeks. And so that is why a realtor waits until the house gets funded, until the loan gets closed, until we are able to get paid. So we probably won't see a paycheck until, you know, 3 to 5 weeks for the most part.
Wow. So it's not like you're, and just so everyone out there knows, I mean, you're in essence, I guess, working for free until it closes. And if it doesn't, you know, you got to keep on pushing pretty much. That's something that I don't think people are aware of, that, you know, it's a big time investment on the realtor's parts.
That is correct. And as a seller, the seller always pays a commission for both the listing agent and the buying agent. There needs to be a listing agreement, and that is where you're able to determine what is a percentage that you're going to pay as commission for, you know, doing the work and showing the houses and everything. So the marketing aspect of things, because right now, especially during this time, marketing is very important, and everybody is doing social media and videos. So that is something that, you know, costs money, and it's coming out of the realtor's pocket until it gets funded. Then, you know, you're able to get compensated for that. But at the time of the listing agreement, that is when the seller and the listing agent will determine the percentage of compensation, the percentage to pay. And so it takes place way before, you know, the house is even showed.
I see. No, and that's good. You mentioned something that caught my attention. Of course, I heard marketing. That, you know, so marketing. That's something that I know you are currently with Keller Williams of Laredo, and I hate to change gears on you really quickly, but so Keller Williams of Laredo is a big brand of realtors, and I noticed that their brand is very, very unique. Their coloring, their color style of letters that they use, everything's so modern and very, very clean is what I'm looking for, I guess.
Yes.
I know that when you're a realtor, I mean, in this case, you're buying into that franchise, if you will, that I'm not sure what you guys call it, but you're buying into that association, right? The Keller Williams Association, that family, and they provide you with a whole range of marketing tools in there. And some of these things are obviously, like you mentioned, these slides and these colors. But I'm curious, as a realtor, marketing materials, what is it that you guys use most of? I mean, I know we have your yard signs. Those are something that's classic that work pretty much 24/7 for you guys. You mentioned social media, and what other forms of marketing do you guys like to use to put yourselves out there? What is it that what medium do you use the most?
Well, Keller Williams is very big on technology. And so what they do is they provide us with templates of pretty much any house, any video, any business card, any sign. However, for me and what I've seen, and I'm learning how to navigate through all of these resources that we have, there is a very awesome, I guess, feature that they offer. And all of this is included when you're a KW agent. So it is videos that are linked to your current market through the MLS. And so the MLS is the database where we use to promote all of our listings. The MLS is where all of the houses that are for sale through a realtor are listed. And so what you want to do is you want to make sure and use it to your advantage, use it to promote, and through KW, you're able to do that because it's already linked. They're able to give you the square footage, price per square footage for every subdivision. And isn't that awesome? I mean, wouldn't you want to know, like, I'm living in, I don't know, San Isidro area, how much is the price per square footage on average? So then you're able to determine, hey, well, my listing price would be approximately this amount. Not bad. Maybe I can upgrade, or maybe I can sell and purchase something else. It just it keeps you updated and informed with the current market. And that is something that I really like about this company.
It is. I mean, that is amazing that you said that, because like you said, you don't want to be under or overpriced. Well, in this case, underpriced, right? And also overpriced, because you mentioned overpriced might not sell as fast because, well, I mean, the market, everything around your neighborhood is set at a certain price. And if you're way too high above it, well, just that listing price is going to affect, like you mentioned, those tours, right?
That's correct. You don't want to have your home sitting for a long time, because then people start to wonder what's wrong with the house, when in reality, it's just overpriced. Your house is in perfect condition and it's very sellable, but you need it to have the guidance of listing at the right price.
That's great. And let me ask you this, because of this COVID-19 situation that we have going on, what are you guys doing? Obviously, you mentioned you guys are wearing masks and you got gloves and you can call for appointments. But what if I don't want to leave the house? Are you guys offering any type of like a virtual tours or anything like that?
That is correct. As a realtor, you have different partnerships and relationships with builders. You also have, you create a team of, of people that are going to assist you when, let's just say, I'm unable to leave the house, but you want to see a virtual tour of a house you saw somewhere in North Laredo. And I find out that, it's a new construction and Armadillo is selling it. Well, the sales agents are able to facilitate a video call through a virtual tour, or even send you a video of what they already have pre-recorded of the actual house. And so that is something that we are currently improving, because virtual tours were not as on demand as they are right now.
Yeah.
But virtual tours are definitely being used right now. I've been doing some with some of my clients, and these are houses that are vacant, but they are not through builders. So that is when I go in there and I do a virtual tour video and send it to my client. So that's just another aspect of, allowing the client to see a home without actually leaving their house.
Yeah, especially now. I mean, there are, like you said, the world does have to, the world will be, the life will go on after this, right? And you definitely need to see what you're going to do. And if you're in that position to looking for a new home or sell that home, then definitely that virtual tour is going to help speed up that process, right? As opposed to waiting till everything is over, you can at least start doing something about it now and moving forward versus just not doing anything. So that's awesome that you guys are still taking those steps. And I could understand how right now that anything virtual or contactless is very popular at the moment, right? It's just what you have to do to stay operating.
Correct, because business is not stopping. People are still having to sell, and people are still buying. Right now, you know, the buyers are able to get um, pretty much great discounts. The builders are giving wonderful incentives, and people are taking advantage of this. And then there's sellers that need to sell their home. So the business is still going, and we just need to become creative on how we conduct business now. Um, I have a client who really liked a house that they saw through video, but you know, they just don't want to leave their home. And so I said, don't worry about it. We can definitely get an inspector to go in there, inspect your home, give you a report, and you know, we can request for the repairs to be made. And so how awesome is that, that you're pretty much going to get your house and didn't really have to go physically due to this COVID-19, right?
Right.
Um, so what I do is, you know, I'm able to help the client with getting either their home sanitized or getting their getting movers for them. So they choose either one or, and it comes just with um, one of my incentives whenever they have me as a realtor. I'm able to help them out in that sense at this point.
It's excellent. That's excellent. Good deal. Is there anything else you want to add?
No, that's it. Thank you so much, Rick. I appreciate it. I thank you for the opportunity, and I am just very excited to see what's, you know, what's to come. I know that right now there are you know, there are a lot of questions, and so I am here to answer any questions that the public might have regarding the real estate business and the
Great, great.
industry.
And I'm glad you mentioned that. So basically on the screen for everyone that was just listening or maybe just tuning in right now, basically you can help anybody that's looking to buy or sell a home. And like you mentioned, you just have a whole wealth of information, especially right now navigating through this COVID-19 situation, right? And so the number on the screen right now is 956-754-0998. And you also have an email, which is sonializrocha@gmail.com. And of course, you also, it says here, follow you on social media. What do you want? Facebook, Instagram?
I have Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and LinkedIn. So you can follow me in any one of those social media sites, and I'll follow you back.
Excellent. No, that's great. And again, it's important to make that contact first to kind of get familiar with your realtor and seeing what, how you guys, I guess, communicate with each other, right?
Yes, and also if you go onto my Facebook, I do have several reviews from my previous clients. I'm very appreciative, and I thank them for the opportunity. And I always welcome new business and referrals. So thank you so much.
No, thank you. And again, thank you for this presentation. The slides were awesome. The information was even more informative because again, not everybody knows what's going on out there, especially for people, like you said, some people have kind of have sat around and not really done much, but there are things that you can do to move forward. And in this case, again, thank you for your information. It was very, very helpful. I hope everyone out there gets something that they can use and hopefully call you if they have any questions.
Thank you, Rick. I
No,
appreciate it.
no, thank you. You have yourself a good day.
Likewise.